Hey, what's going on, everybody? The market is definitely getting a little bit of a sell-off today, and when I say a little bit, I mean a lot, right? We get down, Filecoin's down 6.5%, Theta's down 7+%, Vechain's down 6.5%, CRV down 4.25%, Bitcoin's down about 4.25%, XRP is down finally, right? 5.5%. ADA is down 7%. Okay, so we know the market's down. Why is the market down? Well, because it's still in this sea leg, and not only that, we had the stock market take a big hit today, and the reason why is because we had unemployment, right, ticked up a little bit higher, which is, to be expected, right, because we're in this high inflation, terrible central banking, disastrous economy. And the only way to escape that is to transition out of this central banking economy and go to a more decentralized, blockchain based, gold backed, right? And it's going to take time. So, is it all over with? Are we going down, down, down? No. I mean, I'm looking at Theta right now, and we talked about it yesterday. What we said yesterday, or what I said yesterday, is we still probably got a little bit more downside. Now we're flirting here with this sort of this close, so we really don't want it to go any lower. Let me go to total 3 real quick. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. And yeah, so essentially what we have and what we still have is very bullish, right? It's still very bullish. Why? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have an A, we have a B, and it looks like we're getting C. So we have a 1, 2. Once this wave finishes here, I don't know, maybe it's got a little bit more down, right? But somewhere in this area, we want to see a reversal. If we don't get that, then, obviously it's not going to be good, because at that point we would have lost our 3-wave structure here. Because if this comes up and makes another low, now you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't want 5. And even if we did get 5, it would still be okay, but I would just call it a W, X, Y, X, Z. It would be a triple correction. It would be a triple combo correction, as they say. So, the difference between, from here to here is very significant. So we really need the selling to slow down. I mean, this is the buying. This is where we want to be buying, right? This is not financial advice. I could be wrong. This thing could continue bleeding down. But when I count the waves, let's look at Filecoin now. Let's go to Theta. So one of the things I talked about with Theta was we have a 1, 2, right? Actually, let me zoom in here. Essentially we're looking at this as a C leg, right? And wave C needs 5 waves, so A, B, C. So the question is C finished? Well, do we have 5 waves? Let's see. So it looks like we have 1, 2, right? And then we have, this could be, now there's a couple different ways to count it. So I would say 1, 2, this is 3, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 3. This is 4, and 4 is in the same degree as wave 2, so it looks pretty good. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get 5. So according to this, we're not finished yet, right? We still got a little bit more down. Now it can be finished. I actually like how if you notice, we have a low here. Like for example, you could see this low, right? And it comes, barely takes it out, and it continues down. So it's a little bit subjective, right? But we came down, we had a low, here's our wick, we bounced off. We shot up to the previous high, and we pulled back. We're pulling back. You can see this wick here actually took out this low, right? So is that a liquidity grab, or is this flagging out for a wave 4 of 5, and we still need to get 5 of 5? That's the question, right? I did say yesterday that we're probably in a wave 4, and so we were up here, right? So we needed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is it. This is like, you know, we're right here, somewhere in here. I really want to see a reversal. Now there's no way to know for sure if it's going to reverse there, but that's why, again, we rely on the technicals, right? And for me, I think there's a good chance that this could be very close to a local bottom here. So yeah, this next week is going to be critical. It's hypercritical, right? We had the monthly candle end, so I think that's partly to blame, right? We have the stock market taking a hit, and we have the dollar actually going down. So let's look here at the 10-minute chart. It's really not much for me to say here. It's a little bit challenging. I mean, you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then you only have a 3-way pullback. So yeah, it's not done yet, in my opinion. Let's look at total 3, and we're going to get to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin might be telling the answer here. So one thing I like about the total 3 actually is you know, obviously we have our, you know, zoomed out, right? We have our 5-wave move here, or actually 4 waves right now. So we have 1, 2, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, all of this is 3, right? And now this is 4, and 4 looks like that, and that's what we want, right? So once that's finished, which I think it is now, we should hopefully be on our way to expansion. But what I do like here, let me just draw a line real quick, is we have a shoulder, we have a head, and this is starting to flag out for another shoulder, but we really needed to start rounding out here, right? So ballpark, you know, just ballpark here. Obviously that will take out the high, which is approximately 840 billion. So we're, you know, that's about another 45% away. So it's still looking pretty good here. Looking at the RSI for a moment, nothing's too special on the daily. The 4-hour, we're getting back into oversold territories. That's what we want, right? So we came up and we got oversold here, right? And then you can see we made another high, which created what? It created the divergence, right? So this high here, so we came down and made another high, right? So we had bearish divergence from there, and then we had an ABC pullback, right? ABC pullback that came back into oversold territories, or getting there, right? So if we get a little bit more down, we could get a little bit of some hidden bullish divergence. We'll see. But so far, technically, it's still, you know, really good. I mean, we have, almost a perfection in this this sea leg here. So I don't know what really else to say. Now let me zoom in a little bit. Let's go to the 30-minute chart. Now this is where it gets even more challenging because there's much more going on here. So one thing I don't like is see how this took this out. I don't like that because now we can't count this as a wave, right? So we would actually have to count it as a 1, 2, right? And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So the whole thing is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we still got a little bit more down here, and that rhymes with theta as well. So yeah, it's getting close, right? And this is like make it or break it, right? So we don't want it to get any lower. Obviously, as long as we don't break this low, we're okay. But you know, as far as the other altcoins, they're very low already, like Theta. You don't want it to go any lower than that. Okay, so look at that. The circle landed right between the 618 and the 702, and that's exactly where I would imagine we turn around here based off 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So somewhere in here, right, we just went below the 50, right? So between the 702, the 618, and the 50, this is where I want to see a bottom get formed and a reversal. So this box here is reversal territory, and we barely just entered it. So we could still have more downside, but I'd say we're getting pretty close here. So let's, like for example, Vechain, we were looking at it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we had this A, B, C here. So I was kind of hoping it could have finished here, right? A, B, C, but it actually turned into a much more elongated wave, and it's very difficult to count. It's just too choppy, not a lot of definition. So I'm not gonna really focus my time on that one. You can see CRV, right? This is important too. What happened, right? We had let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then we had an ABC. So think about total 3 and theta being like right here. So we have a little bit more down, and then, you know, take the high here. I don't like this 3-wave shape so much. It looks like it needs to correct a little bit more and then continue higher. So we could see that CRV landed, where did it land? Look at that. It landed right between the 618 and the 702. That's exactly what we talked about for total 3. So if CRV can do it, right, then why not the rest of the market? Let me go to Filecoin here. I'm just trying to skim across a couple of them. So let me put the retracement up, and I'll put it right about there. And look at that. We're almost there in between the 618 and the 702. So yeah, so I would say we're really close here for a reversal. This is reversal territory. So let's hope, right? Now, if we break through that, obviously you have a little bit of a safety net down here, but not much, right? So we don't want to lose our 3-wave shape. So this one is also a little bit difficult to count here, but I would imagine this is 1, 2, And then we have, to me, this looks all like 3. And then this right here is 4. And this is 5. So it may be a little bit more down like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that would finish up wave C. Boom. A, B, C. So let's see how all of this unfolds, because I mean, we're really, looking at Bitcoin, we're really at a major, still at that major inflection point, right? And so far, when we were down here, it wasn't looking so good. Now we have this 5-way move. We're looking corrective. It's looking a lot better. And I think this is going to be a pivotal point here in, really the direction, right? So, the next couple weeks can determine the next 6 months of price action. Again, so for Bitcoin, right, the worst case scenario, or I wouldn't say worst case, but the bearish case, I would look at this as WXYXZ, right, and then go. Okay, so if we start, breaking down and going lower, 3-way pullback, continue going lower, taking out the low, everybody's going to be saying what? 20K, 30K, 40K, right? Down here. But that's actually the low. It'd be a combo correction here. Basically a big flag. You're just flagging out before you explode. Now that could totally happen, right? It's not my favorite idea. But I was, I still am much more on board with this being an A, B, C, right? And this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is an A, this is a B, and then we still need to come down for C, right? So we still, we still got a lot of playing around in here to do for Bitcoin, but the altcoins look like they're a lot more matured in their correction. So I just, based off everything I just said, this is going to be, again, this is the point where we're either going to go into an expansion phase, or this is a point where we have a lot more work to do. But either way, I think we're at definitely a big pivotal area in here. Over the next, I would say 30 days, we should know our answer. That being said, I thought that would be an appropriate time for me to go ahead and launch a membership. So if you want to support the channel, it's always incredibly highly appreciative. And so, there's a couple perks. You can go ahead and look it out. But essentially, the main one would be, first to know, right, what my thoughts are, and then also a members only video. I haven't worked out all the logistics yet, but I'm definitely going to make it more unique and special. And the real reason I'm doing this as well is because where we're at in the market, right? Now, it wouldn't make sense if I launched it in a boring part of the market, right? I wanted to wait until I felt like, this could be a big moment here. And you know what I mean? So for example, like Theta, right? I decided to launch really my channel and go, more basically a lot, basically committing more to my channel down here, right? And the reason why is because I felt at that moment this was a big inflection point, a big turning point. And looking back, it totally was, right? Big time. Now, did I know for sure? No. Could I have been wrong? Absolutely. I could have been totally wrong, right? But I felt like things are going to get more exciting in here, right? Because we were developing this Wyckoff spring. We had a liquidity there was a lot of things, right? We had divergence, we had 5 waves. So I felt like, you know what, let's commit more videos to the channel and see what kind of, and the response has been amazing, and I really appreciate everybody, with the eagerness to learn and really have a passion for the price, right? Because at the end of the day, this is our golden ticket to get out of the situation that we're currently in, right? Most people are content with where they are slightly, but I would say even more people want more, right? In life, and it's all about, right, family, time, and crypto, right? We're not going to be LeBron James, right? We're not going to be a 50 Cent. We're not going to be Tom Cruise, right? It's just not going to happen. So what do we have? We don't have I don't have a fancy college degree, right? So what else is there that could possibly give me the opportunity to actually have a decent lifestyle, right? I mean, there's not really much there is, unless you have a specific trade or a specific degree. But I would say a lot of people don't, right? And for me, right, what is there? Well, investing. Investing is the number one way an average person like me or you can escape what we don't want to be in, right? Now that could be as extreme as quitting your job and retiring, right? Or that could be as decent enough as just having an extra X amount of dollars to help put down on a down payment on a new house, right? Or a new car, or something that will help with your current situation. So crypto, in my opinion, is the best thing that could have ever happened to, right, like the millennials, Gen Z, all of them, right? Everybody, even the baby boomers, right? It can really do so. And I think if you are a long-term believer in crypto and you have the conviction of what the technology actually is, how it could be utilized, then for me, it's a no-brainer, right? So, I launched the membership. If you feel free to check it out. And I'll be definitely adding to that as well. Again, because we're at a big crossroads here. And as we embark, right, up or down, we're going to want to know certain things, right? And I'm still going to share them on the video, but as specific as to even go as far as calling something, right? Because I don't do trade calls. That's not this is not that channel. This is educational, right? So, but I can definitely tell you what I'm doing in regards to my trade, my position, in my buying, in my selling, right? I'll give you a little bit more inside information, if you will. So if you wanted a little extra perk there and there, go ahead and, again, check out the membership. And again, it's a great way to support the channel. So that's all I'll say about that. So let's keep moving forward here. So for Bitcoin, right, when we zoom in, it's still looking really, really good. And it's still looking really, really bullish, right? Why is it bullish? Well, because you notice here on the move down, it's actually a little bit corrective. It's actually very corrective. Versus when you look at the move up, it's more impulsive. That tells me that this move is correcting this move here. So once it's done correcting, what do you think is going to happen? Right? That's the big question. Well, for me, I think it's going to continue pumping, right? So again, just real quick, there's a couple different ways we can count it. It would be 1, 2, right? And then 3, 4, and 5. And in wave 3, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So everything checks out. Great. Okay, so what now? Now this is the beginning of an A wave here. So we have, let's see here. Actually, I don't like it as an A because it looks, I mean, it could turn into an A, but it actually looks a little bit three-wave-ish, okay? So if this starts to come back up like this, right? So we have 3 down, maybe we get 3 up, and then we get 5 down or 3, and we'll talk about that later. But essentially what we would have there is an A, a B, and a C, right? So we're still in this ABC. The only issue that I have, though, for example, like if I put Theta on, Theta started its correction when Bitcoin was only wave 3. That's why I'm thinking maybe that's not the right count, right? Why? Because, you know, if Bitcoin is only in an A wave or even a W, and then let's say we get a B right here, so that means obviously Theta would come up, and maybe it goes up. So there's 2 ways it could happen. So it could either, if this is a B wave, then what would Theta do? Well, Theta would come up in a corrective wave like this, and then it would come down and get C, and then it would come down and even maybe take out the low or sweep the low, right? So what would that be? Well, that could be some kind of, maybe like a triple, like a WXYXZ, if you will, right? And then go up. So that would be what that is. So another way it could happen, and this is the way I would rather prefer it, is to say that no, this is actually 1, 2, this is wave 3, this is wave 4, and this is wave 5. And I actually like that because if you look at wave 4, it actually matches better with wave 2 here versus this. Okay, so then what I would then do is to say that this is a flat, this is an expanded flat. So we have an A, we came up, we took out the top, so look at this, and this is a flat, right? When you come up, you take out the top, that's a trap. It's often a trap, and we talked about that, right? You can also say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A lot of times when you get 7 waves that barely take out the top, that's usually the top, right? And now we're coming down in wave C, and wave C is almost done. This makes much more sense when we compare it to things like Theta and other coins like it, like Filecoin, ADA, Vechain, right? So yeah, that would make much more sense. So when I put this down right here, you can see this is Theta, by the way, ABC. That looks like a clear ABC. So Bitcoin took out the top as Theta, right? And you don't even have to say Theta, you could say total 3 or whatever. So that tells me that this is corrective, right? So yeah, so those are the 2 counts, right? And let me just do it really fast here. So the 2 counts are basically saying, right, that for Bitcoin, that either this is an A, B, C, and we still got more down, right? We still have more downside. I mean, we can even come down to about 58K, right? I really don't want it to. Look, if we can stay above 60, it's going to be from a sentiment, from a psychological point of view, it's going to be way better. As soon as we drop below 60, it changes people's sentiment, right? It could cause more selling, but we'll just have to cross that bridge when we get there. So, but essentially between 60 and 62, this is really where we need to chill out here for a little bit. Okay, so the cool thing is, how will we know which one is it, right? Well, first of all, the other one is saying that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the fifth wave, right? And this is wave A, and this will be wave B, and then we come down for wave C, and then we go, right? So how do we know which one's it going to be? Well, based off where it reverses, I would imagine. If we start to reverse now, it's actually starting, look at that, it's actually starting to break the low. So, or not break, not quite, but it's about to any second. I mean, we're very, very, very close, right? And that would be the fifth wave. So, is this an A wave or a C wave? That's the tricky part. 1, 2. It looks like 3. This looks like 4. And we have 1, 2. Now we're in the middle of 3. It just broke it. It just broke it now. So we're going down for 4. Or I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're in the fifth. So 1, 2, 3. This is going to hopefully stall out soon. We get 4 and then we get 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's kind of what we want to see here. And maybe it's a ending diagonal here where we get something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some kind of falling wedge. That would be nice to see. Right, if we get some kind of coiling in, get real tight in here, like a falling wedge, break out, and then we can continue higher. That would be really nice to see. So, is that my main idea? I'm not going to come out and say that quite yet. I mean, it doesn't look finished to me. It still needs a lot of work, right? So, we had the Fed came out and spoke on Wednesday. So anytime that happens, you're going to get a lot of volatility before the Fed, after the Fed, right? So it's Friday. We just had unemployment numbers. People are still going off of what the Fed was saying, right? So I think once the weekend comes, might settle down a little bit. And then Monday, Tuesday should be hopefully finishing up this correction. And then hopefully by Wednesday, Thursday, either this week or even the following week, we could start getting the heck out of here. Yeah, so if this is an A wave, right, if we come down here and this is a wave A, then the way we'll know that for sure is if the way it comes back up. So if it comes back up like this in 3 waves, then we know this is A, B, and we should get C, right? So if we go up, if we start, coming down and we start, impulsing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this, and then we get a 3-wave pullback, then it's going to look more like this was A, B, C, and this is wave 1, and this is wave 2, and now we're starting that big wave 3 to the upside, right? So it all is going to depend on how this structure looks, right? And that could be another reason to look at, more to see what other coins are doing. So, for example, if we go to XRP, right? XRP to me is also in a C leg. So it wouldn't make sense that if Theta and a total 3 XRP, if they're all in their C waves, then why would Bitcoin be in a wave A? Well, because it took the top out and it made it appear that way, right? So I think that's, they always, the market makers always like to throw in a wrench. They always like to cause, uncertainty, right? So when I look at XRP, I mean, this looks like a classical flat pattern here. So, and usually flats occur when things are very bullish too, right? Or bearish, depending which direction the flat is correcting. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We have an A. We came up in a three-wave shape. You can see it's kind of like a crooked S, right? And then bam, straight down. So A, B, C. Now C might not be finished. It might come down a little bit more. It might come down a little bit more, right? The good thing about XRP is it has a lot of wiggle room, right? So for example, when you look at Theta, right? I mean, Theta is way down here. So the low here for XRP is the same as Theta. But Theta does not have much room between the low and where it's at. Versus something like XRP, it's way up here. So it has a lot more room to play with, if you will, right? So, does that mean, it doesn't really mean anything necessarily, because, sometimes it could be vice versa, right? Where XRP can be the one in that situation. They always seem to rotate, right? So, I think the only thing now is to figure out, is this sea leg finished? And it's actually a little bit difficult to read because there's a lot of overlapping waves here. So, it actually kind of looks a little bit like a diagonal here. Let's see. Yeah, it kind of maybe does a little bit here. So, okay, so what we can say then is 1, 2, right? And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 3. And this is 4. And now we have a diagonal for wave 5. That's a really good setup if that's the case. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we still need 5. Come down here for 5. If we come down here for 5 and we have bullish divergence, this is a good spot to consider dollar cost averaging. So that's where I would like to dollar cost average. And then we kind of bust out of there, falling wedge, and then hopefully we can be on our way, right? And the way we'll know is if we break out, do we get a 5-wave move or do we get a 3-wave move? And that's also going to depend if Bitcoin has that issue, right? So we'll pull back and keep ripping higher. So yeah, I'll be very curious to see, number one, do we break this low here at 54 cents? Because it could also be, right, something a little bit more complex, meaning we get something like this. So we get 1, 2, 3, right? So basically like we get 3, 3, right? It's actually 5, 3, 3, or yeah, or it could actually turn into 5 like this, right? But I'm not gonna go there, right? That's just looking too far ahead, right? Let's just, I don't want to confuse everybody. Let's stick with what, the most obvious thing would be, right? Which is this starting to get close to that 5 waves, right? Now, what I was going to say is if it turns into a more complex, you can get 5, 3, and then you can get another 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that would be actually a more complex correction, right? So you would have, then it would still be an ABC, but it would just be more complex, right? So we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So A, B, C, right? And it gets us back down here. And that's actually not a bad idea at all. It gets us back down to 48 to 50 cents and then go up. So we'll see how that plays out, right? And the thing is, you could say, well, it could be this, it could be that. That doesn't really help. Well, no, because we're going to know the answer. We have to wait and see what it does, right? We have to see, again, does this come up in 3? If it does, then we got our answer, right? If this comes back, you know, obviously I think it's going to keep rolling down a little bit here, right? But once it stops, does it go up in 3 or does it go up in 5, right? Or do you have a certain pattern like an inverse head and shoulders? Do you have a ascending triangle? Do you have, you know, even an Elliott wave, A, B, C, D, E, and then hit the low? Maybe we might get a 4th wave triangle here, right? So there's a lot of things that could happen. And then once we figure out, you know, the move back up, is it corrective or impulsive, based off, you know, do we have also divergences as well? So there's a lot of things we'll know, right? The reason why I like to give more than one idea is because, you know, I might not be there when that correction takes place. So people will be left wondering, well, what now, right? So we always have that to fall back to. So I'm looking at XRP on the 1 hour, and we have bullish divergence here on the 1 hour. It's not completely very, very strong, but it's there. You can see we're going down, and this is starting to come back up here. So that's good. That's what we want. And we can see this little pin bar, or this bullish hammer candle. You can see it right there, right? So it actually looks pretty decent here. Now if it's still part of that diagonal, right, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, we get some kind of diagonal here, we hit the high. Now if it comes up in 3 and then tanks the low, okay, then we know this was the 4th wave. So 1, 2, 3, 4, all of that's 4, then we get 5, right? So I would actually like that idea a lot. Let's see how we get there. Now, again, it's all going to depend how we break out of this, how this turns to be. We just don't know the answer yet. So I think that's about it. We are oversold on the 1 hour. On the 4 hour, I'm sure we got plenty of, no, actually we're getting close here on the 4 hour. So let's look at the 4 hour for just a second. Actually, I haven't even looked at the sequential yet. Nothing too interesting on the sequential, but we did actually have the 9 call the top here, which was really good. You could say, well, how come this 9 didn't call the bottom? Well, because we're not finished with 5 waves. You want to use the 9 with 5 waves or 3 waves. In this case, it did work, right? Look at this. The 4 hour 9, we had 5 waves, we had a 9, called the bottom almost perfectly. And then we had this 3 wave shape, A, B, C, and at the top of the C, or at the top of this B wave here, called the 9, or called the top, right? So now we're moving back down. So I would be looking for another 9, or if I just bump it up to the, oh, look at that, the 6 hour chart, we have a 9, perfect. So the 6 hour 9 is okay. It actually is pretty good. It actually called the bottom here. It called the top here. It called a pullback here. It called the top here. It nearly called the top here, just a little bit. And now we have a 6 hour 9 buy. So again, these are dollar cost averaging points. And then you have also, right, we don't have divergence on this time frame. We have divergences on the smaller time frame, right? So yeah, if we can get some kind of falling wedge in here, or some kind of diagonal, right? I think that'll be pretty good, because any way you slice it or dice it, we got a 3-wave shape, right? Boom, 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 boom. And if I take the length of this and I put it right there, that's exactly where the length should be, right? So let me do that one more time. So I'll take a trend line and I'll just put it from here down to about there, and I'm going to take this line and I'm going to use it, right? And you can see, actually, let me do that one more time. I'm going to do it from the very top here all the way to the very bottom, right? And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it as closest to the top as I can get it here. Right about there's close enough. And you can see we actually wicked below it, but the bodies of the candles are not closing below this line. And that line is there to help me measure, right, the length of this versus the length of this. So A and C should be relatively close. And you can see we're on a 9 buy, and we're getting right down here to basically the length of this wave, right? So if I do that, that should be close to a 1-to-1 extension here. Let's see. It might be trend-based extension. I'll come down here. I'll come back up to about there. Yeah, look at that. Perfect. Right at the 1-to-1. And I think that's exactly what we talked about yesterday, is the 1-to-1 extension, right? We want to see that hit. Now, if this turns into, I think we're going to get a pullback here once this is finished. So again, does that come up in 3 or does it come up in 5? We'll see. If it comes up in 3, then I'm going to expect that 1.414, right, which is, I just had it right at 52 cents right here, the 1.414, which coincides with these green dots, or your setup trend. So if we come up in 3, I would expect 52. If we go up impulsively, then I would expect an ABC pullback, and we'll revisit that, right? So let's see here. Let me go down to like the 10-minute chart. Yeah, it looks like a diagonal to me. I mean, you could even say that that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the diagonal's already done. But this looks 3-wavish. So I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if, see how this is 3? If we get 5 out of here, it's going to look really good. So we'll revisit that maybe tomorrow. It is Friday. I don't expect anything too crazy, so we'll see how it all plays out. Again, that might be another reason why to consider having, if you want to support the channel, again, I got the membership up, so I will be doing at some point a members only video, and also going a little bit more into depth of what I'm doing and basically my strategy. The videos I'm still going to do, right, explaining what I see, but to get a little bit more, I'm going to be explaining exactly what I'm doing and how I'm playing it. Okay. So as far as, trading goes, as far as hodling goes, right, it's also a benefit, but not so much, right? Because again, when you're a hodler, you don't really care what it does. But we all watch the price because we actually do care what it does, right? So for me, right, a long time ago when I wasn't actively trading as much, I would still watch trading videos, not because I was trading, but because I wanted to get the best bang for my buck, right? And people say, oh, just dollar cost average. Yeah, well, it's easier said than done, right? You want the best price you can get, right? In a situation that you're not in control of. So let's take a look at some other charts. For example, like ADA. We'll go to the daily. Yeah, we're back down to the order blocks here. It seems like so basically here's your order block, right? So we're back down and we're back testing this order block. So we don't really want it to go any lower than that. We really don't want it to go any lower than that. So let's look at the 4 hour here. Looks like we got an ABC. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, or even this is a 3. 3. And then maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or this is 3. We're going to get 4 and we still need 5. That's always the tricky part, right? How do you know if it's 3, 4, or 3 or... how do you know if it's the fourth wave, right? Obviously if we get some divergence in here. So with that, I like to go down to the 1 hour. And you can start to see it, right? We're starting to get bullish divergence here as well on ADA, right? You can see the low, lower low, even lower low, right? RSI, low, higher low, slightly higher low, right? So it's not super strong, but it is there. Something to keep an eye on. Now, divergences are something, right? Because you can easily take them out. All it has to do is come up in 3 and come up like this and then go back down, and then it takes out the divergence, right? So then you want it more so on the 4 hour chart, right? But I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're quite there yet. So we'll give it some more time. If we are there, then the count would be 1, 2, right? All of this would be 3. This is 4, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5, and I really like that. I really like that, and that would make sense coming in at the weekend here at the bottom. So maybe we might play around, maybe get a little bit of a diagonal here, a falling wedge. It could be a lot of different things, right? But I want to see evidence that a bottom is forming, and then we'll come out and we'll talk about it. So yeah, again, looking at this as a completed correction here, an impulse, and a 3-way pullback. We don't want this low taken out, because then it totally invalidates this whole wave here. So basically all that wave was just a correction, and it could very well be, right? You just don't really know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm looking at this as 5. So we have also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So even if it was a correction, I want to see it come up here, right? Because then you have that 3-wave shape. And then the real hard part is to hold this area, flag out for a wave 4, then get a wave 5. Right? So we're still not even out of the woods yet. So we want this to come and take the top. And then at that point, it looks like a 3-wave move, right? Because then you can say what? You can say, well, then this is an A, this is a B, and we still need to come down for C. But again, that's pushing it too far out, and I'm not comfortable with doing that right now because, again, there's no evidence to say that's the case, right? What we really want to see is USDT dominance to go down, right? Because again, it looks like a 4th wave to me. You know, we got 1 and 2, and then we have 3. This looks like a 3-wave move. So let's keep rocking to the downside and get, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want 5 waves down. Uniswap. I haven't looked at Uniswap in a long time. Yeah, it looks ugly. I don't like it at all. It looks bad. It looks bearish. It doesn't look complete. I mean, I guess you can... It's a tough one. Because this looks like 3. And this looks like an A, a B. And then it looks like 1, or actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like it needs to come down here to get that 3-wave shape. So Matic, right? We got 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want this to be finished. And we got a bit of a impulse and a bit of a correction. So I mean, this is the area where we really need the price to sort of stall out here. Yeah, it looks to me like this is a W, X, Y, X, Z. But I don't really like it as 5 waves. It just doesn't, it's not completely clear. It looks like we have a running flat here for wave 3, 4, and 5. So anyways, let's see what the weekend brings. There's not really much for me to say. Let me just look at the small time frames really fast here. No divergence. One way you can kind of tell is you can see the length of these waves, right? They're about similar. So if I take this one here and I overlap it, it's pretty similar. So that tells me we should get some, you know, even if it's not done, we should get something like this, right? We should get something like that. But instead of 3, I want to see 5. So that's really what we got here. And then an ABC, and that's where you go long right here, right? So we'll talk about it. Anyways, I will wrap that up here. And if you, again, you know, check out the memberships. Again, just trying to put it out there so people are aware of it. We got the Crypto Warrior at $199 and the Crypto General at $399. So go ahead and check that out, and let me know if you have any questions, comments, and if you want me to take a look at some coins. Also, I'll be adding things as well to it. So I'll have to keep playing with it and make it better and better for everybody. So Anyways, that'll do it for this video. I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.